The one job that the AI will not be able to take over is if they apply employee ownership to their company and get their employees not to become employees of the company, but owners of the company. They get huge benefits associated with that. I didn't expect it that soon. I expected it maybe after my lifetime, possibly. I didn't expect it to happen in my lifetime. Don't underestimate the power of employee ownership.
Hello everyone, welcome back to Seneca Hackathon podcast. Today we have amazing guest, Professor Remy, who also teaches in Seneca. So we are going to talk about AI, business and related topics. So first of all, Professor, can you introduce yourself?
Well, my name is Remy, it's not Professor. Professor is the other guy, that's the first thing. Okay, and I'm currently a full-time professor at Seneca College. At the same time, I'm the chairman and CEO of a company by the name of Loyalty Options. In terms of career, I've held many positions, senior positions in the past. I was chairman and CEO of ThinkBase, VP of Internet Technology at Merrill Lynch, Chief Information Officer at Insurance Bureau of Canada, VP of Internet Strategy and Development at Fidelity Investments, Chief System Architect at Mercer Human Resources Consulting. Started my career as a programmer, and I'm still a programmer in my heart and here. I'm still a programmer.
So you are also a programmer and also a business owner.
That is correct. And as a business owner, I still do programming actually on a daily basis. Just before this podcast, I was doing programming for a couple of hours.
Okay. And can you introduce your brand, what Loyalty Options is, what they do, what it is about?
Yeah, it's a very interesting concept that many people, especially in startup companies, are not aware of the power that employee ownership is all about. Loyalty Options is a software product that manages all the accounting and administration for stock-based compensation. So when you give your employees compensation that's based on your stock, based on the ownership, and introduce the concept of employee ownership in your company, you need to manage that in a certain way. And this management takes multiple aspects. There's the administration part of it, where you need to keep track which employees has which grants, whether they are restricted share units or employee stock options or employee share purchase plans. And there are different types of that. And the other part, which is a actually more complex part, is the accounting part. Because from an accounting side, it becomes far more complex than many other areas of accounting. I was talking to a national partner in PwC, where he told me that, in his opinion, stock-based compensation is the most complex area of accounting altogether. Now, Loyalty Options handle both sides of the administration and the accounting of stock-based compensation and employee ownership.
That's very interesting. That's an interesting information. I personally don't come from that background, the loyalty and AI.
What is your background?
I actually have a master's in physics. And I'm currently enrolled in digital marketing course. So I'm taking a career change here.
So maybe we can talk about quantum physics some other time.
Yes, some other time. So let's start from the top. For those, it's like for aspiring entrepreneurs, those who are starting out just now, can you please elaborate on what the employee ownership is exactly?
Yeah, when the first company starts, one of the biggest challenges that they have is getting the right people to work in the company and managing the finances. These are the most important things in a startup company, the human resources aspect and the financial aspect. And both aspects can be handled very nicely through employee ownership. How? If I look at the financial side, when you give employees ownership in the company, you can effectively not have to pay them more than the average market rate, because you're compensating that with ownership in the company. So the employees actually now become owners of the company. Now, that's from the financial side, so you don't pay as much. And if you have employee share purchase plan, for example, you can actually take money from the employees and get them to buy shares. Effectively, you're raising capital in the company. When you give them employee stock options, when they exercise the options, that's also another way of raising capital. So effectively, you're raising capital from the best source possible ever, which is your employees. You cannot find a better source for raising capital more than your employees. But that's only one side, which is the financial side. The other side is the human resources side. And that's an area that many people underestimate the power of employee ownership on that side. The best hope that you would have from your employee is to give you 100% of what your expectation is. That's what your best hope is. And most of the employees don't give you that much. All of a sudden, you turn the employee not to become an employee, but become an employee owner, an owner of the company. You will immediately get 120, 130% of them without you even asking them to introduce more effort associated with that. So all of a sudden, from a human resources aspect, you got more value for that. The other aspect of the human resources is that many good quality employees would never work in a company unless that company is producing stock-based compensation. Good quality employees believe in themselves. And when they believe in themselves, they want an opportunity to grow. They don't want to remain as an employee for the rest of their life. You give them employee ownership, all of a sudden, you got the quality employees and they will not leave. Turnover will be much, much lower. So the benefits are huge, especially for startup companies. The problem that I'm seeing is that many startup companies, many owners of startup companies don't understand that and don't fully comprehend the power of that. And they want to keep everything close to their chest. Well, you don't need to keep them close to your chest because you have 50 plus 1, you have effective control over the company. Give 20% of your shares to your employees, all of a sudden the value of your employees becomes much, much, much bigger. When you look at bigger companies, you'll find out that most bigger companies in Canada right now give stock-based compensation. Most of the publicly traded companies give stock-based compensation. Almost all the US publicly traded companies give stock-based compensation, but private companies do not. And that is something that I personally do not believe in. I think that there's a big opportunity in there and people are missing that opportunity. I believe that this employee ownership can potentially be a solution for many, many, many economic problems that we're currently facing, not only in Canada, but throughout the world. I don't know if I answered your question.
You did.
Okay.
You did. I recently come across an internship that was solely giving out compensation in form of their stocks. They were not it was a paid internship, but the payment was in form of stocks. Yeah. So it's a growing area right now. I can see that a lot in future.
Yeah. That's one of the problems that people have. Sometimes they give only stock-based compensation. And you need very, very special people who do that, who can actually live on stock-based compensation. These are people who are independently rich. You don't find many people of that sort. But normally what you need to do is to give them compensation. Cash compensation doesn't have to be above average, but complement that with stock-based compensation. This complementing of stock-based compensation gives you all the benefit that I've talked about earlier.
Yes, that's interesting. Okay, talking about hackathon, why are you interested in sponsoring hackathon? What do you think you gain out of it? What do you think, what interested you in doing this?
Well, gaining is not the big thing that I'm looking at because my target market primarily in loyalty options is public companies. And public companies do not exist a lot in hackathon. But I strongly believe that private companies have a big opportunity to use employee ownership. And if they apply employee ownership to their company and get their employees not to become employees of the company, but owners of the company, they get huge benefits associated with that. Most of the attendees of Hackathon are small private companies, startup companies. And these startup companies have a huge opportunity in there. So as you know, with our sponsorship, we're giving them free access to loyalty options. So people who want to use it, let them use it for free. From my perspective, I consider that a way for giving back. That's one key point. But at the same time, I'm a selfish guy. The company is selfish as well. So what's in it for us? In very simple terms, these companies eventually will be big. And when they become big, they'll be a good, valuable client for us. So basically, we're investing in the growth of these companies. When they become big, then it will be a win-win for everyone.
Yes, I'm definitely seeing that a lot in future. You are going to grow a lot, and as will be other hackathon partners. So let's talk about future of loyalty options. Technology is a huge part of every business, right? And I see you teach technology for business people in Seneca. Where do you think AI stands in that area?
Well, I can talk about that for ages right now because it's a topic that's very close and dear to my heart. When I did my master's degree in computer science, that was too long ago. I got my master in 1988. That was ages ago.
I was born in 1998.
So that's good. That's good. So maybe when I started my master, you were a twinkle in your parents' eyes at that time. So So I did my master at that time, and it was about intelligent databases. So it was about artificial intelligence specifically. At that time, we did not call it artificial intelligence, we call it frames and slots at that time. And that was the topic of my master's degree. But effectively, what we're experiencing right now with artificial intelligence is something that goes beyond any dream that I was dreaming of. So in the past, I always thought that we'll be growing in artificial intelligence, we'll reach the artificial general intelligence, possibly like Ray Kurzweil has said in 2045. But what I'm seeing right now is something that is really weird. I'm seeing that programs can write other programs that are as good as them and even more complex. Just to give you an example, just earlier this morning, there's one of my clients who asked me to create something called SEC Form 4. That's a US client, wanted to create something called SEC Form 4. I had no idea what this form is. So what did I do? I went to Grok 3 and I went to ChatGPT and went to DeepSeek and so on. And I asked them, what is Form 4? Can you give me an example of Form 4? And I found that it's an XML product that I have to create based on the data that we already have in our loyalty options database. So I said, okay, let me create that. It's fairly easy and straightforward, but let me try something else. I asked ChatGPT to write me a program that will create the XML code for Form 4. And I was well surprised to find out that it wrote me that particular program in less than 1 minute. A complete program that will give me the complete XML code for Form 4. That's something that would have taken me 2 to 3 days to write. But it gave me that in 2 minutes. So what does this mean? Does this mean that programmers will no longer have a job? Possibly, yes. Possibly the work that took 10 programmers to write in 10 days will take 1 programmer to write in 1 day. Possibly. 1 over 100. We're talking about 1 over 100 ratio. Possibly the job will be lost. And that's a programming job. Just imagine other jobs that are not programming. What will happen to them? Accountants, even referees, even actors.
Every part.
Some amazing things that are happening right now. I believe that we have actually succeeded in doing something that I did not imagine before. We succeeded in creating something called a species. The definition of a species is something that can procreate, and its procreation can be better or equal to itself. Right now, we have created software products that can procreate, can create other software products, and these other software products are exactly the same quality, if not better, than the original one. So we have actually created a species. Where would that take us? From a spiritual perspective, are we delving into an area where we should not be delving into? And I don't know. What is really scaring me is that the biggest user of artificial intelligence products out there is something that we can never control. Let alone, let's talk about control, because someone before this podcast asked me, AI should be fine as long as you control it. No, we cannot control it, because AI is really a black box where you have inputs and you have outputs. And we don't know what's happening inside. ChatGPT 4.0 has 1.8 trillion parameters. No human being in the right mind can wrap their head around 1.8 trillion parameters. A human being can count from 1 to billion in 8 years. So 1.8 trillion, how can they manage that? They cannot. We cannot understand how AI is working internally, so we cannot control it. But the other thing that's more scary is the biggest consumer of AI products out there is the military. And every military is a country within a country. And no one knows about it. Even prime ministers and presidents don't know exactly what's happening within the military of their country. So can that be controlled? I have my big doubts. So whoever asks me whether it be controlled or not, I can tell you right now, no, we cannot control it.
Okay. You know better about that than us, for sure. You say that you are worried about the future of AI, like how they'll be taking part in our life. So since the hackathon is about coding and everything, and I heard you say ChatGPT gave you a whole coding like in a couple of hours, how bad is it going to be for the future generation, do you think?
Let's talk about hackathon first of all. If the hackathon is talking about programming right now, I think that programming with hackathons is not the same as we used to have 10 years ago. Because right now, you can get the same program that you would write that you spend hours writing in a few minutes with generative software. So that's one change that will be happening. But the other change as well is that we have to be cognizant of the fact that the job market will never be the same. Will never be the same. I just talked about programming, and I'm telling you right now that with what is happening with programming right now, and talking here about ChatGPT and Grok 3, if we compare that to Copilot is orders of magnitude better than them. So even with programming, lots of people will be losing their jobs, and that's a technical area. So can you imagine what will happen to the other areas? People need to focus on what will get them to find a job. Finding a job will be a challenge going forward. My expectation is that what we've seen in the big depression of the 1920s, what we'll be experiencing right now will make the depression of the 20s pale compared to it. The amount of unemployment that we'll be seeing will just be tremendous. And what's the way around it? Because with high unemployment, we'll get high unrest, social unrest in the country. The only way around it is one single solution that everyone has been talking about, which is a guaranteed basic income, universal guaranteed basic income. I don't think that there's any way around it, and we have to get into it to get the people to work on the thing that they do best, which are basically the humanities. What we're doing right now is a podcast right now, interviewing people. That is something that you cannot get a computer to do that easily. That's one thing. So there are certain things that we cannot get around it. Even you told me that your background is in physics, for example. Right now, computers can do physical theories right now that we could not imagine that could be done in the past. So many things will be replaced by computers right now. We'll still need human beings. For example, in the medical field, yes, radiologists are gone. Computers are better than doctors in diagnosing, but they are not better in collecting information and asking questions. You still need a family doctor to ask you questions to find out how you're feeling. Because computer will not be good at that. So there are certain jobs that will still be there, but the same job that's done by 10 people in 10 days could be done by one person in 1 day. That's what I expect will happen in the future, and we need to do something about it. Unfortunately, most of the politicians are not taking that seriously into consideration.
What skills do you think the new generations should focus on gaining that will make them like get better in get in the better fields?
Right now, the hottest job in the market right now is something called data scientist. And the data scientist is someone who manages the data that's used for AI. That's at a very high level. That's the hottest job. I think that this job will not be as successful as it is right now within 20, 30 years because AI will take over. There are certain jobs that will continue being there. For example, politicians. They will not go away, unfortunately. I was hoping that they would, but they will not go away. So politicians will not go away. Judges will not go away. Sports referees will be gone. That's true. Because you don't need a computer to tell you whether the tennis ball went through outside the line or inside the line. You don't need that. You don't need the referee to tell you whether someone passed the ball with an offside in soccer or not. So you don't need that. So the computers will take over much of the refereeing work. Acting even will be gone. Because people will be able to act by avatars. They'll use avatars, AI characters. They'll not need human beings.
I already see that in Instagram and everywhere.
That happens a lot. So certain jobs will be there. The one job that the AI will not be able to take over is humanities. Things that have to do with people interaction, psychologists, psychiatrists. These will not be taken out by computer. The computer might be able to do a good job, but the computer still does not have the capability of looking at someone in the eyes and understanding what's happening inside that person. That's something that is not there yet. So I'm talking here within 50 years. After 50 years, I have no idea.
But I think facial recognition and stuff like that can get into
computers are better than human beings to assess whether someone is lying or not. Because of that's something called micro expressions. And computers are very good at recognizing micro expressions. But I'm talking here about reading between the lines because it's not only the expression, it's the expressions and the words and the combination between them and trying to ask a question after a question that is totally unexpected or unscripted. That is something that human beings are better. The other thing as well is that we link them to ourselves. So humanities.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
It's about human
Humanities
connection.
and teamwork. These are things that the computer are not able to do yet. Within 30, 40, 50 years, maybe they would. But within my lifetime, within my career, I think I have no problem. Within your life and your career, maybe you'd like to focus on these ones.
Okay. Just something that came into my mind. When you studied this computer science, did you ever thought of something like this happening, the AI taking over and things like that?
Yes, I did, but I didn't expect it that soon.
Well,
I expected it maybe after my lifetime, possibly. I didn't expect it to happen in my lifetime.
so it's happening quicker than you
It's
expected.
happening much, much quicker than I'm expecting. And the scary part of it is that we're not growing with an exponential growth. It's double exponential.
Yes.
It's not 2 to the power of x. It's 2 to the power of x to the power of x.
Okay.
That's how fast we're growing. In the past, you used to have 1 or 2 generations to find a technological shift. Right now, what we're seeing in there is technological shifts that are happening within months. That's what's happening right now. We started with the generative software in 2017, when the article "Attention is all you need" was written at that time. From 2017 up till now, we have generative software that was never dreamt of before that point. The transformer concept was only created in 2017. From 2017 up till now, only 7 or 8 years. God, we are in a totally different world. We're talking here about a generational shift that happened over a period of 7 years. That is something that that I never expected.
Yeah.
And I have no idea what to expect within the next 5 years. Because the way things are growing right now, with the generative software, it's mind-boggling, really.
It is. I never expected, like COVID came in 2020 and there was nothing like this in the area. I remember ChatGPT came around 2020 somewhere. So
ChatGPT came 2 years ago.
2 years ago, because I remember using AI in 2020. That's how I started my marketing
Yeah.
thing, actually. So yeah, it's been very quick. Everything's happening at very quick pace and it's scary for sure. Right. So it has been like very good conversation. I loved the conversation. Do you think I've missed any part of it? Do you have anything more to add for future generation? Maybe do you have any like things that you would like them to gain after this podcast? Maybe?
The one thing that I'd like to suggest, I'm assuming that the audience of this one will be the hackathon attendees, employee ownership. Don't underestimate the power of employee ownership. Get your employees to be shareholders. Don't get them to be employees of the company, so that they don't work. I don't want them to work for the company. I want them to work for their company. When you get them to have this particular attitude that they're working for their company, you'll get much, much more than you'd get otherwise. That's one thing. The other thing is focus on what you can do in terms of jobs that will not be lost. For example, trades, plumbing, agriculture. Even agriculture has a little bit of problem with it. Maybe urban agriculture will not have it. And I know many people in here are working on urban agriculture. But certain jobs will not be lost, like trades, like construction, and so on. These jobs will take a long time for us to replace human beings by robots. So focus on these particular jobs that will not be lost. Understand humanities is extremely important. The jobs, the white-collar jobs that are based on humanities, these ones will continue. Anything else that's repetitive, don't do it. Any white-collar job that's repetitive, don't even think about getting into that particular career. That would be one of the biggest mistakes that you do.
That's a great advice. So thank you everyone for watching this podcast. I think that's a wrap. And I had an amazing conversation with Professor. How did you feel about the conversation? Like, would you be participating again in podcast?
I would love to participate again. It was a pleasure for me to be in here. And I hope that I can talk about anything that you want me to talk about. So you tell me what you want and I'll be making myself available.
Okay. So now you heard from him. We'll be having him again on board very soon. And we'll be having many more podcasts lined up after this. So stay tuned for them. For the students, don't forget to register for Hackathon, and for the sponsor partners, we have a lot of options for podcasts. So just get in touch. Okay. That's it for today. Thank you for joining us. Bye.